Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm the Serious Strategy Gamer and this is Taskmasters, where every Tuesday I do take on 5 other YouTubers to see who is best at designing and fighting with ships in ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. Now the task for this week is build a ship of a class of your own choosing. The area is the 1930s, the nation is going to be Italy, and the enemy does have 2 ships of the same class and the same era playing as Russia. The ship must have a maximum speed, and it must have 100% engine efficiency. The starting ranges will depend on the class of ship, so destroyers 10 kilometers, light cruisers 12 kilometers, heavy cruisers 14, battle cruisers 16, battleships 18, and carriers, well, there aren't any carriers. So, fastest time to sink both enemy ships wins. Okay, so our task is basically to choose a class of a ship, then design that ship, and then fight 2 enemy ships of the same class and see who does that the fastest. So we're going to hit the custom battle mark over here, and we're going to change that to Italy, I think it said. Yeah, and we're fighting against Russia, so that's fine. We're not fighting in the 1930s, and then we do have the chance of what specific ship we want to design. And here's the first real strategic decision that we do need to make. Now, we're going to be fighting 2 other ships of the same class. So if we're choosing destroyer, we're going to fight 2 destroyers. If we're going to choose battleship, we're going to fight 2 battleships. Now, the fastest time to sink both enemy ships wins. And that to me does mean we do not want to choose a destroyer and we do not want to choose a light cruiser. And the reason basically is, well, these are very, very fast and they're very, very small. So it will be very difficult to sink an enemy ship of that class. It will just take a long time to score enough hits. And the way that the game models damage, I think destroyers and light cruisers are a little bit more survivable than they really should be. So I think picking these 2 classes basically is not a good idea. I think it would be too difficult to sink the enemy, or at least sink them in a short time. So that does leave us with these sort of heavier ships, heavy cruiser, battle cruiser, or battleship. Now, battleships tend to be very well armored, so they aren't that bad at taking on damage. So I think fighting a battleship, even though it's easier to hit, it will be more difficult to cause enough damage because of its great armor. So that basically does lead me to believe that battle cruiser or heavy cruiser would be the best choice for this task. Now, frankly, in between these 2, I'm a little bit more experienced with designing battle cruisers, so that is what we're going to do here. We are going to design a battle cruiser that does need to go up against 2 enemy battle cruisers, and we'll see how well that will work. Let me briefly just check, so that should be 16,000 meters, so 16 kilometers. Let's double check everything. We've got Italy, we've got the Russian Empire, 1930s, 16 kilometers. That does seem to be fine with me. So that's fine. Let's design our ship here and see whether we are going to succeed and how quick we can be. Right, so we're going to start here as usual with just the bare hull, and we can choose various different things here. I think we're definitely going to go for the modern battle cruiser, and we're going to start with one of the important things right away, and that is we do need to max out our speed. That is one of the most important aspects here that the task does give us at hand. So if we want a legal design, it does need to be 44 knots. The other important one was engine efficiency here. So we will need to think a little bit about the funnels in a moment, and I think we can actually do that potentially right now. Before we do that though, let's remind ourselves there are very few other restrictions. So basically money is not an issue, tonnage is not an issue, anything else is up for the grabs. So I think we can do a lot of other things here. Firstly, we're going to go definitely for the highest displacement here, because we can. We're going to go for a very short range because that does free up some tonnage to use for weapons and other stuff. And we can definitely pick sort of the... Ooh, this is way too loud, sorry. This is just... Yeah, let's dial this down here a little bit. Right, there we go. Right, so I think we can definitely pick the best engine here. That's just simply a no-brainer. That does reduce tonnage and it will just increase the costs, which is not an issue here, not a constraint at all, so I think that's going to be fine. Same here with oil, and same with certain other things like the Krupp armor, so that is definitely simply going to be the best things that we can pick. So I think the big question now is, what do we need in terms of funnels to actually achieve a 100% engine efficiency. Let's start out here with a mega funnel. So that does give us 17%. I'm thinking that that probably cannot be, it can be brought up to 44 with 4 spoilers, or 36. So 44, that would mean at least 3 funnels here of the type 3. Or 2 and 1 funnel of type 2. That would be 100%, yeah. If we go for balance, that would still be 100%. We can't remove anyone because that would be, yeah. On the other hand, if we're going to forced, we could probably do with 3 funnels as well of the type 2. Okay, that's basically it. We do need 3 funnels, but it is sufficient to pick the smaller ones. There's no way how we're going to get 2 funnels, and I think we might just go for balanced, and indeed that I think does do a little bit more for us, right? Yeah, the tonnage is a little bit better balanced, and we do need 3 funnels of type 2. Okay, so that's the first thing that we do know over here. Let's start by properly designing the ship. I do think we want to go just generally for the modern tower here. Secondary tower. That's interesting. We've got a compact choice here. What's the difference here? Okay, the base accuracy is a little bit lower. I dislike that. But it, interestingly enough, has a little bit of a better long-range accuracy. And it does have a little bit lower smoke interference. Isn't as good at spotting torpedoes, but I'm guessing it's just much smaller, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Well, let's pick this one for now. We might change it later on. Right, so that's basically the ship over here. We will have some troubles fitting in all of these funnels there, but let's see about that. So that's the biggest thing over here. Let's do pick our main guns. So what guns are we going to pick? 18-inch guns, that's Mark II. Mark II, Mark III is the first one on 16-inch. And then only 13-inch guns are Mark IV. I think we're probably, since we're going to go up against 2 enemy battle cruisers, I think large caliber weapons are going to be the best choice. So we're going to go for the 16 caliber guns, 16-inch caliber guns, and then we need to decide on whether we want to go 3 barrels or 4 barrels. I find 1 barrel or 2 barrels just usually not that much of a decision. Right, now the obvious advantage of 4 barrels is it's 33% more barrels, so it's more shells in the air at any given time, but the disadvantage is because there's some interference between the shells as they're coming out of these barrels, and basically all of the air sort of circling around and the resistance there, and there's going to be lower accuracy, especially at higher ranges. And if I do look at these numbers, let's pick something that's easy to check. Let's say 7,500 meters, that's 8% with 4 or 10. So yeah, that's around a 25% difference here. So 20% lower accuracy, but 33% more barrels. Now the other difference is the time to reload. And basically the rate of fire here will be 0.8, over here it will be 0.7. So I think all in all the 3-inch barrels do put out more shells per minute on target. At least I do hope that. So we're going to go with the 3 barrel guns here, and that is going to be that. Now, what's the next thing? Now, last time I did play around a little bit too conservatively. I think what we need to do is we do need to drive at the enemy very aggressively, make this a very short-range engagement, and hopefully get the enemy to sink very early on. So what I want to do is I want to put a lot of guns forward firing as we are closing in with the enemy. Let's place that as much into the front as we can. And then look for barbettes so that we have some superimposed firing here. Right, I think we're going to try to get away with a standard superimposed barbette. Or can we even go with this slightly? No, that's just ridiculously small. Let's try this one here and see whether that does fit. Yeah, it does, so that's very nice. I do not think we can fit anything sort of on the wings here. This is just a too modern design. Wing turrets are basically out of fashion here anyway. So I'm afraid that this is what we can do in sort of forward firing. But nevertheless, we can put some guns here to the rear and hopefully engage with them as well. So let's pick at least 2 turrets here. I don't think they need to be super firing. I think it's fine if these guys are sort of in a pair like that, because that will basically allow us to, well, save some weight. Right. You can fire almost to the front, so that is at least kind of nice. Okay, and I think actually in terms of weaponry, this is it. We could of course think about some secondary weapons here, especially maybe 8-inch barrels. Now you're Mark 4. You're Mark 4, and if we're driving in, and so if we're thinking that we're going to engage them at ranges of, let's say, 7,500 meters, we could penetrate at least 10 inches of armor. That's not nothing, but I think we're going to be better off by just focusing here on the main guns. It's not a very realistic design, I'll give you that, but it is a design that does allow us to fight enemy battle cruisers and hopefully be very fast at that. So yeah, I think that's it in terms of main guns, so we can't really do much more than that. The next thing that we do is we are probably going to look at some of these other things here. I do think I want many bulkheads so that we are remaining somewhat stable here at least. I do want generally some auxiliary things here in terms of ship repairs for engines and ship repairs and just basically water pumping and all of that. I definitely want the best citadel, so the best protection of the core areas of the ship. I do probably want some water pumping. If we are going to get in close, we'll probably see a lot of water ingress towards us, so let's do that. Let's also reinforce our bulkhead so that we are a little bit more protected that way. I think we're going to go for barbette 1. Barbette weights, main guns weight. It's a little bit... You know what, we're going to go slightly more risky. We're going to go in a little bit more like all in, trying to defeat the enemy here. Let's see whether that is going to work out for us. Right, then let's talk about our armaments here. In terms of our ammunition, well, it's either going to be high TNT, which has plus 12% damage, or it's going to be Corodite 2, which has plus 20% damage. But a little bit less penetration, a little bit less range. That will probably not matter too much. 11.5% weight. Okay, I think high TNT it is. The costs don't matter, so that's going to be alright. I do think if we're going to go for a small engagement here, we can go with a reduced ammo layout so that we're saving some weight. And we're still okay there. I do think we want to go for the super heavy shells here, simply because that does carry some risks, but it does give us higher shell damage. So I think that's what we're going to do. I'm slightly concerned about over-penetrating the enemy, because battle cruisers probably are not going to be that well armored. So let's see. And if we're going to go for a short-range engagement, I definitely want to pick auto reloaders here. Rangefinders, let's not forget about these. We're going to pick the short-range ones, simply because we are going to drive in towards the enemy, and that should be that. Right, I don't actually think we do need a radar, because the long-range accuracy will not be that relevant to us, I think. So we are going to go without the radar here, simply to save some weight. So that's looking all relatively good to me. I don't think we are too concerned about torpedoes in this scenario, so I'm going to go get rid of those. Can we go for dual here? How much is that? Okay, yeah, let's go for... Can we actually go for auxiliary 3? It's only 300 tons each, so that's even less. Yeah, okay, let's go for auxiliary engines 4. I think that's a good idea. Shafts, I don't think they're that important in this scenario here. Right. So yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with this layout so far. We do have some weight, but we do not have any funnels, so let's do fit in the funnels. We do think that we need to fit 3 of these, which does mean I need to move you a little bit to the back here, and or you to the front. Okay, you can basically get as much to the front here as is allowed. You can go a little bit to the back there, and then we're going to fit in the 3rd funnel there. Okay, here's the big question. Now, the secondary tower here. Let's take a look here at the situation here. Just how far can this guy turn, and can he basically engage us? So basically it's around the green area, ends around this little bracket over there. Does that change if we're picking the compact setup here? Yes, it does. It has a much better firing arch here. So frankly, I think that is something that we might want to use. So place that a little bit more to the front, and we're going to have a design here that allows even these rear turrets to fire relatively close to the front. And that might be very helpful as we're closing in with the enemy. So that might be useful. Oh, here's a question. Okay, here's a funny question. What if we do... And I know this is a super weird design. Can I place that anywhere over here? I don't think I can. Okay, let's not do it then. It would have been funny to sort of place the rear turret here on a barbette so it can even fire over this one. But I think it's alright like this. Good, so that's fine. We do have enough turrets. We do have, yeah, let's double check that. Max speed, max engine efficiency, so that's great. Weight is a little bit offset for now, but that doesn't matter too much. I think I want to reduce the deck armor here a little bit, simply because I don't think it's going to be that relevant. If we're closing in very quickly, that should be okay. So I think what we should rather do is try to increase the turret armor, so that we can make sure we're not going to be disabled early on. Let's put that to 14. Conning tower should be relatively well armored too, so let's put that to 13 inches or so. Yeah, that doesn't really leave us with much to go on the belt, unfortunately, so let's try to dial that up as much as we can. 10.5 and then maybe 5 inches or 4 inches. Let's say 4.5 inches on the belt extended. 10.5 here. That is pretty much maxing out everything that we have. But I do think that's a good choice here. This should be irrelevant. Yeah, we don't have any secondaries. Turret top, I think that's worthwhile to armor a little bit more. Conning tower, turret, belt extended. It's not as much as I would have hoped. We do have Krupp armor 4, so that's okay. The barbette, just out of curiosity, yeah, that's 600 tons, so I don't think we want that. We don't have any torpedoes. That's fine, I don't think we need to. I don't think this is going to be a torpedo fight at all. Right, anything else that we want to change before we just jump into that? I don't think so. Except for the forward weight offset here. That is something that we do need to address. Okay, so how much can I move you back? A little. 3.3% forward weight offset, okay. If I move you back just a scooch. Still 3.3%, okay. Further back then? 2.5, okay, that's probably the most that I can inch out here. Just a scooch. How's that? Still 2.5. Okay, that didn't matter at all here with the rear thing. Okay, fine. Yeah, I think we can live with 2.5. Let's see whether we can do... Well, maybe we can put you a little bit further to the rear there. 2.2? 1.9? Okay, I think this is it. Yeah, I do want this turret here to be able to fire somewhat to the front, so I think that's okay. Right, okay. Everything is fulfilled over here. Everything is fulfilled there. We do have the engine efficiency. We do have the speed. We do have the bulkheads. We do have everything here that I want. No way, radar. That feels weird. It's a very specific design, I have to admit. Right, just how much would that cost us? Again, 700 tons. I don't think we do want that. Okay, let's launch and let's see whether or not we're going to fight off these two Russian battlecruisers in a decent time at all. Right, 1 battlecruiser's on our side, 2 battlecruisers on their side. Let's pause immediately and see what's going on. Okay, they are off over here a couple of kilometers. You are going to... Which direction are you actually going at? Yeah, you're going here. That's unfortunate. So we are moving away from each other in some way. At least we are moving sort of in different directions here. So that is unfortunate because I need to close in. Our deck armor is incredibly weak, so we do need to close in to do a lot of damage here. So let's try to move sort of in this direction here. We're going to keep at flank speed. Do we want to hit one of you in particular? What have you guys got actually in terms of weaponry? Okay, 12 guns in triple turrets, probably 15 inches or so. 14 inches. Well, that's going to be interesting. How about you? Are you just the same? Yeah, you're just the same. Okay, right. Let's go. Let's see how this is going to turn out. We're going to target the first one here, the front one to the front here first. You know what? Let's actually target the other one first, because if we're going to come in sort of in that direction here to intercept them, we might actually be able to train our rear guns on this gentleman rather than being hit ourselves. Right, okay, our guns are turning. That's lovely to see. We don't know anything about their armor or anything. 1.4 chance to hit. 1% for 1.4%. Why is that so low on you compared to you? It's just probably the aiming and process one. Yeah, okay, that's fine though. There we go. That's at least one turret firing. From our side, their turrets are starting to fire. I'm going to accelerate time here a little bit. Simply because otherwise it's going to take a long time. Right, ouch! That was a remarkably close shot here on their side, just that early on. So that's really not that nice. And there's a lot of shells coming our way now. So I'm afraid that we are going to be hit here very early on from their 14-inch shells. Because this is plunging fire, ouch! They are going to cause 5% damage just sort of right away. That is not a good start, my friends. Whereas we are having some difficulty here in acquiring a good target, largely because we are maneuvering, but let's see about that. Okay, I do want to probably go sort of in this direction here, and let's make sure that our rear turrets do actually get to engage, because otherwise we are losing a little bit too much of our firepower. Okay, that's just the front turrets there. You can see actually our shells are much bigger, but if they don't hit, then that's not going to make a huge difference. Right. Just how close are we to hitting them here? We did bracket them, but on average it's a good shot, but that doesn't do us any good. Right. Come on, guys. Let's accelerate here. I do want my rear turrets to swing in action here. That's the big question. How far can we turn in? That's just the front. You're turning in further. Maybe I should have done more shafts to increase our ability to steer. Didn't do so yet. Ooh. Okay, that's good. That's a ricochet. That did actually hit, for the first time there, the belt instead of the deck armor. Which certainly is nice to see, because our belt armor is actually not that bad. Yeah, we're down to 13 kilometers. And I would really love you to fire on that ship. You are still turning, so that is okay. But it could happen a little bit faster here. 12.7, that should drop down very quickly here. We also have an 8% chance to hit, so we really should start to see some hits on their side. Otherwise, I don't know what's going to happen. Right, so far we've taken certainly more beating than they have. But maybe. We're also extremely fast, so I think we should be able to cut out in front of them a little bit here. Oh yeah, there you go. That's some of the rear turrets in action now. And let's briefly check on them. Yeah, they are still going in that direction. We still don't know much about them. That's going to be okay. Right, and with all these shells in the air, we are suffering another hit here, taking another 5 percentage points off our ship damage with their 14-inch shells. And they are quite accurate, I have to say. On the other hand, we have a 10% chance. Ooh, there we go. That's our first hit. Some flooding there and engine damage. That is certainly lovely to see. So it did certainly pay to bring our rear turrets into action here. Right, shells are also coming in a little bit more horizontally and not that much plunging fire, so that's great. It looks like that were only the front turrets again. Yeah, they do have a lot of guns firing at us, so that is really a bit of an issue. Right. Yeah, okay, there we go. Rear turret is back in action. That is lovely to see. Are we going to score a hit? Look at the water ingress. They must be down to 50% or so floatability. That little blue bar down there. Unfortunately, we didn't hit them, and as we know all too well, flotation can improve very, very quickly. It's also kind of weird to only see that single array of guns here with so few shells that we actually have. Okay, another great hit there. Did take out another one of the engines, and they are starting to see some flooding damage, so that is definitely nice to see. Right, come on. Just finish them off. We really need to go for time here. Again, that's the big issue. Okay, more flooding damage here. I think they might be going down, but I don't know. And because we just don't know, they can recover so quickly. I'm going to continue to fire at them, even though it might be better to shift fire. What I really do not want them to do is recover from that sort of float damage here and be able to repair themselves. Okay, they're down to 5%, 4%, 3%. Okay, they're going to go down. We're going to shift fire onto the other ship here on the St. Petersburg, which hopefully we should be able to target. I'm going to turn a little bit away because I do want to make sure that our rear guns are into action against St. Petersburg as well. That's only the front guns. But we are scoring hits here, and that's nice to see. 8% damage already on them. Right, we can actually go down to a more suitable cruising speed here to stabilize our guns somewhat. I think that would be a good idea. There we go, that's the rear turrets in action, and that looks like a good number of hits there, down to 75%. No flooding though. Some hits on their side. Sorry, some shells. No hits. That's a good thing about this. Right, they don't have any torpedoes or anything, so that's good to see. Some engine damage, some flooding, down to 60%. Good, good, good. We are taking some fire here. But I do think overall our large shells and our large guns here are making some good work of them. We just can't be unlucky now. 45% on them. Right, come on, come on, come on. Just shoot again. We're going to dial down the speed here a little bit because it is getting to the last minutes here. Okay, 71% on our side. That's not great. But their float damage here does seem to be quite bad, actually. 5%, 3%. There we go. So 9 hours 45 minutes and some 36 or 7 seconds to go. So that, I think, is a very good playthrough here. Less than 15 minutes, wasn't it? So yeah, it actually took quite a while to design the ship compared to just how long it was there. It's a very funny build, I have to say again. It's not a ship that you'd think about designing for a fleet, because it just doesn't feel. It's very much built for that single task. It doesn't even have any small guns or any secondary guns that you would use against any torpedoes or any destroyers coming in. So it's a funny design, but I do think it did the job here. And I'm very intrigued to find out how my competitors did. You'll find the links to their videos down in the comment section below. So do take a look at them. They are kind of fun to watch too. And I hope to see you guys next Tuesday again to the next iteration of Taskmasters. Bye bye guys.